To get the latest health department data, visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
The fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush, weekdays, 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the 1st of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up.
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need
With all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush, weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the peach trees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive Storm Trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. The Storm Trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
The fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush, weekdays, 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick,
Open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the first of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need.
with all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush, weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the Peachtrees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive Storm Trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For Storm Trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the first of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up.
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need
With all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush, weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the peach trees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive Storm Trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. The Storm Trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the first of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up.
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need
With all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush, weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the Peachtrees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive storm trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For storm trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush, weekdays, 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the 1st of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need.
with all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush, weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the Peachtrees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive storm trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For storm trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the first of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need.
with all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the peach trees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive storm trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For storm trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We haven't had none up here since the first of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need
with all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the Peachtrees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive Storm Trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For Storm Trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest health department data. Visit 11alive.com/COVID numbers.
Health experts fear we're just at the start of another surge.
Residents here are some of the first seniors to get the vaccine.
This epidemic can come to an end.
We do have a flash flood warning that just popped up here.
And the fallout of this is just beginning.
The bigger questions are the longer legal ramifications.
Morning news should be both informative and fun.
Gone are the days where we're speaking at you. On Morning Rush, we're speaking with you.
So connect with us. Talk to us.
Think of it as a conversation.
Morning Rush weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
Quick, open your phone camera right now, aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street-level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Morning news should be informative and fun.
Yeah, and we do that here on Morning Rush with Verify, Connect the Dots, Why Guy, and more.
We love learning about new things and sharing them with you.
We make the news make sense.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
The Negro people had to leave. They were told to get out.
White only, no black!
1912, all but one issue has been erased.
We
We haven't had none up here since the first of the century.
What's the importance of making sure this history isn't erased?
So that it doesn't happen again.
Is your morning routine feeling a little routine?
Then mix it up.
Morning Rush is different.
It's the fast-paced news you need
with all the energy of your morning coffee.
Come see the difference on Morning Rush weekdays on 11 Alive.
Weather can't run from the all-new 11 Alive Thunder Truck, a mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11 Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge.
Here in Atlanta, bad weather means bad traffic. A few drops of rain could destroy a commute. But that's where my man Crash Clark comes in. I go street level, he goes next level. Together, we make sure you get to work on time. Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive. Hey, quick, open up your phone camera right now. Aim it at the screen to download 11 Alive's new and improved app. This QR code will take you right to the App Store or Google Play. One simple tap gives you enhanced radar, street level zoom, and severe weather alerts. It's just that easy.
Atlanta roads are my thing. ITP, OTP, Ponce, Piedmont, all the peach trees. Combined with Chesley's street level forecast, that's a lot of tech and experience to help your commute.
Morning Rush, weekdays 5 to 7 on 11 Alive.
We're quite the combo.
Weather changes can make or break your day. That's why the 11 Alive Storm Trackers are always watching what's coming next, delivering accessible and accurate forecasts that prepare you, not scare you. For Storm Trackers, only on 11 Alive.
COVID-19 is still spreading in Georgia. Now get facts, not fear, at 11alive.com/COVID numbers. Track cases by county using our interactive map and get the latest.
Her comments are not only baseless, they are unrelated to Mr. Barron's competence, his performance in recent elections, or any substantive or compelling reason to retain Mr. Barron specifically. We elect commissioners to objectively review, comment, and act based on the facts of all matters before them. And we pray that all commissioners and officials who have influence in the election process will approach all matters with respect for the community and with a nonpartisan spirit. Democrats and Republicans alike have become extremely provoked by the lack of transparency and accountability in the Fulton County elections. Actions must be taken to change, perhaps overhaul the process and the systems that have failed our elections. And it begins with new leadership who are willing to take corrective action. The voters are following all activities of public officials and legislators, especially as it relates to Fulton County elections. The recommendation of the election board to terminate and replace Richard Barron must be upheld. The citizens of Fulton County deserve to have a representative that is impartial and accountable and faithful. I have confidence you will make the right decision for the citizens of our county.
Public comment by Carrie Hines of Roswell. As a citizen of Fulton County, I'm concerned that our elections are not safe. If even one vote was not counted, then we should all be concerned. Richard Barron, as the head of this, has to be held accountable as to that is where the buck stops. We must have a way to ensure a free and fair election system going forward.
Public comment by Joan Housley. Richard Barron must be fired. The clear evidence of his mistakes is undeniable. This is for Fulton County, Georgia, his employees and his benefit. In his own words, he says he is burned out, and I can't shake it. Release him so he can find what is next. Release him so his employees can have a strong, healthier leader. Release him so Fulton County elections have a chance of being cleaned up. We are the laughingstock of the world. Do what is right.
Public comment by Patricia Rosser. Is it true that seniors who have filed homestead exemptions are exempt from paying school tax? If so, how can I file for this? Will it reduce my property taxes?
Public comment by Donna Riffle Lawson. Good morning, elected, selected, and rejected Fulton County listeners. Gail Hunter Holloman, Executive Director of the Fulton County Library System, is responsible for keeping the Library of Trustees informed on all matters related to services rendered to the public. Ms. Holloman betrayed that trust and authority by not speaking to the unfair expulsion of me from the library. She violated a major principle of communicating with the board about a crucial patron issue and used an outdated policy to support the scheme. It is believed that the library board of trustees can be sued in courts of law, placing them in improper and intimidating situations. Furthermore, it is believed that the former county attorney was ill-informed and acted on unsubstantiated information. Please reference page 8 of the August 2020 BOT meeting minutes. Commissioner Arrington's Library Board of Trustee appointee, Mr. D. Chip Joyner, is the chair of the board and has not contacted me per meeting request. This failure to contact is unacceptable. The BOT is a collective board, has serious concerns of proactive operations, and each commissioner should take on the responsibility of helping them be more interactive with the communities they represent. Commissioner Arrington has staff that has intervened. Assistant County Attorney Abdullah Makara, the lawyer assigned to the library, is aware of the paper trail and the expulsion. She has rendered a troubling opinion. Kay Burwell implies a misunderstanding of the situation due to a possible researching of an incomplete file that seemingly was missing some records. I was never offered a warning or hearing about the accusation and charges. Gail Hunter Holloman failed to inform the board, and that should never be an accepted management practice from an employee with internal operations experience and a $29+ million budget oversight.
Right, 15 seconds.
Yes, sir. Thank you. To sum it up, our libraries have to solve the discriminatory practices and judgment problems that exist. And if we are open to a modern traditional library service model.
Public comment by LaRoyce Morgan of Atlanta. This is voter suppression. People should have a right to easy access for voting.
Public comment, Ron Booth. I would like to know when the Georgia Senate votes on House Bill 531. I would also like to formally request as a citizen that you do not terminate employment of Mr. Richard Barron. Thank you in advance.
Public comment by James Judd. Please tell me how I can apply online or via mail for this senior exemption. I am uncomfortable going in person due to potential COVID exposure.
Public comment, Richard Corbin. Comment, good evening. I sent the note below to Fulton County Commissioner, District 4, Natalie Hall, on February 12, 2021, but never received confirmation of receipt or response to my question as a constituent. I come to you today to seek clarity on the ethics of the contracts between the Fulton County Attorney's Office and your Mr. and Bryant LLC attorneys at law. This firm is being assigned work from Fulton County's Attorney's Office, which presents a conflict of interest as they also represent clients that have a legal and monetary interest in these matters. Specifically, my property was sold in Fulton County's sheriff's sale, and after doing all the paperwork to get my property back and secure the excess funds to pay for the property, I was informed that the firm was assigned this matter and Ms. Bryant will be reviewing my claim. This was after I informed the Fulton County Attorney's Office, Elizabeth Roberts, Portia Lackey, that Ms. Bryant's firm and the firm I owed the money to, as they were representing the party that had purchased the property. From my very first day speaking with the firm, I informed them that I felt that this was a conflict of interest and I was not comfortable with it. State Bar of Georgia Handbook states, Rule 1.7, Conflict of Interest General Rule, a lawyer shall not represent or continue to represent a client if there is a significant risk of the lawyer's own interest or the lawyer's duties to other clients. A former client or a third party will materially and adversely affect the representation of the client. I am a third party that was materially and adversely affected by the representation of the Fulton County by Abdur, Monsieur, and Bryant LLC attorneys at law. Further, this also violates the Fulton County Code of Ethics 1 on numerous counts of conflict of interest. Ultimately, I was charged exorbitant fees by the law firm for their client because of this conflict of interest. Furthermore, after bringing this to the attention of the Fulton County attorney, the lead attorney for your Monsieur and Brian LLC reached out to me stating that he would give me a discount, waiving all late fees that I had incurred because of his firm's movements. If I signed a paper.
Thank you. 15 seconds is up. Thank you. Next.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next is Karen Allen of Atlanta. Comment, stop voter suppression.
Public comment by Cassandra Kirk, Chief Magistrate Judge. Dear honorable members of the Board of Commission, thank you for accepting my written comments in lieu of my presence. I am unable to be with you today due to concurrent obligations. I write to support Vice Chair Hall and thank the honorable members of the Board of Commission for their courage in putting forth a resolution that will aid the landlords and tenants of Fulton County. Not all the annual 45,000 landlord-tenant filings in magistrate court result in an eviction. This legislation allows a true picture of the applicants and an opportunity for financial relief in those appropriate situations. I look forward to providing additional support or suggestions as we continue to lead in Fulton County. Respectfully submitted.
Those are the last of our written comments.
Okay, continue. Mr. Chairman, we have several attendees that wish to bring public comments. At this time, if you wish, we recognize Thomas Worthy.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Thomas Worthy. I'm Vice President of External Affairs with Piedmont Healthcare. I know that it was removed from the agenda, but I do want to make a brief comment in support of a resolution calling on the state to expand Medicaid coverage to cardiac transplant recipients. The only transplant programs within the state of Georgia are both located in Fulton County. It is Piedmont Healthcare and Emory Healthcare. We have noticed recently that every other state surrounding us, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, expands Medicaid coverage to cardiac recipients. Here in Georgia, Medicaid covers liver and kidney transplants, but does not cover cardiac transplants. We do strongly believe that it is good public policy to expand that to cardiac transplants so that the patients in our community most in need will have the opportunity to access life-changing and life-saving medical care. So on behalf of the 25,000 employees, we just wanted to echo Piedmont Healthcare's support of that change at the state level.
Next, we have Melissa Dale.
Hi, good morning. I am speaking today on behalf of the decision to relieve Mr. Richard Barron of his duties as our elections director. I don't take this type of action lightly, since it means that someone will lose their job and their livelihood and possibly their reputation. However, there are times when the action to remove someone from their job is necessary, as it will enable a new person to be hired who will manage the position more efficiently and, as a result, cause the organization to be more successful. Speaking as a 12-year resident of Fulton County, I am of the opinion that it is in the best interest of our county elections and the state of Georgia as a whole to move forward with removing Mr. Barron from his position as our director of elections. I could go on and give a list of reasons on why I support the election board's decision to relieve Mr. Barron of his duties, but I believe that you are well aware of Mr. Barron's mistakes and how his mistakes affected the election processes and, as a result, the integrity of the election. I would suggest that going forward, you find someone with a proven record of following all election laws and processes, as well as managing people successfully. In addition, I would encourage you to look at other counties and states who held successful and smooth elections and plan to meet with them to learn what they did right, as well as what they did wrong. I would also find out how they handled the process of finding and hiring a successful director of elections. Thank you so much for your time and for listening.
Thank you. Next, we have Ronald Booth.
Yes, good morning, distinguished commissioners. My name is Dr. Ron Booth, a citizen of Fulton County for 15 years. I live in the city of South Fulton. I would like to quickly speak on the employment status of Mr. Richard Barron. My comments are that I implore you emphatically not to terminate the employment of Mr. Richard Barron. His efforts have helped Fulton County to finally realize a smooth and efficient voting process. Why tamper with that? I strongly suspect that the termination efforts are wrongly motivated by political issues that are not in the best interests of the citizens of Fulton County. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Paddy Nathan.
Hi, my name is Paddy Nathan, and I live in Sandy Springs. I respectfully ask this board to reject the demands of conspiracy theorists and run a professional and transparent process to ensure capable leadership of Fulton County's election system. The County Commission should not rush a process for deciding who is in charge of our elections. Fulton County voters deserve to be treated with respect and professionalism. And this process has instead been marred by opacity and fueled by conspiracy theories. The proposed solution, a rushed hire of a crony of our Secretary of State, is not in the best interest of voters. This office has shown itself to be an ally of conspiracy theorists and voter suppressors rather than voters. Blake Evans has refused open record requests. Is this the kind of leader we want? Fulton County voters deserve an election supervisor who has the skills and experience necessary to run the largest elections office in the state. The only way to assess this is through a transparent, competitive, professional management process. This move to hire the current elections director without an adequate replacement is the latest GOP attempt to undermine the integrity of our elections after record voter turnout. We are seeing it through various anti-voting bills running through the Georgia legislature, and we saw it on January 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jill Wright.
Yes. My name is Jill Wright, and I am a citizen of Milton. As a taxpaying citizen and registered voter of Fulton County, Georgia for the past 21 years, I'm strongly encouraging the Board of Commissioners to respect and approve the decision by the Fulton County Registration and Elections Board to terminate Richard Barron. I was a poll watcher at the Milton Library during the recent Senate runoff election. I reported to the Elections Board my observations of mismanagement by the poll workers. There was no follow-up by Mr. Barron nor the Elections Board. I also observed the January 19th Fulton County Elections Board meeting where Mr. Barron confirmed 2,000 plus votes in the Senate runoff at the Milton Library were not tabulated due to a glitch in the Dominion machines. After recertification, there was still a discrepancy of 660 votes. Yes, that is 660 votes not counted. Mr. Barron allowed the board to vote to certify the results of the 2 precincts at the Milton Library, even though 660 Fulton County citizens' votes did not count. Did Mr. Barron contact those citizens and make it transparent? Mr. Barron served in a similar position in Williamson County, Texas for 6 years, where ironically, his elections board had planned to fire him. Mr. Barron chose to resign and was offered his current position as director of Fulton County elections. Here we are again, with his elections board voting to fire him. Mr. Barron has been in this role in Fulton County for 8 years, yet we the people continue to see a disorganized system that continues to get bad press across the nation. Fulton County elections needs to come out of the dark cloud and hire a new leader who will streamline the process, hire qualified people, and represent transparency and fair elections going forward. Please approve the termination of Richard Barron. Thank you for my time.
Thank you. Next, we have Thomas Bowles. Thomas Bowles.
Hi, good morning, Board of Commissioners. My name is Thomas Bowles. I'm a Fulton County resident. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to comment on the firing of Elections Director Richard Barron. I listened on the Board of Elections meeting in which the vote was taken to fire him. I heard the evidence presented and the opinions of all 5 board members. The only real information that supported Mr. Barron keeping his job was that the employees who worked under him liked him and would be unhappy if he was fired. That's nice. I'm sure they do like him, but that doesn't mean he's done his job well. The rest of the information presented in that meeting was overwhelmingly in support of his firing. And that information was substantive. In my view, the November election was a catastrophe. The spring primary was a train wreck. Overall, Mr. Barron's performance as elections director has been a failure. Concerns were raised before, during, and after both elections regarding irregularities that were observed firsthand. Mr. Barron ignored them. Later, he fired 2 of the poll workers who raised those concerns. And when confronted about the firings, he attacked those workers, claiming they were already under investigation for some unnamed issues and therefore not invited to return to work. And there's more. Ballots left unsecured on the warehouse floor, no seals, no chain of custody, missing compact flashcards. He hired temp workers for the warehouse instead of trained poll workers. He forgot to count votes from a Milton precinct, the broken water pipe that wasn't really. And of course, we all saw the security video showing all sorts of strange activity on election night. Some of this, yes, is odd. Some of it, though, is very serious, but all of it is reckless and all on his watch. The Fulton County Board of Elections was correct and justified in firing Richard Barron. So I urge you today, commissioners, uphold the Board of Elections' decision to fire Richard Barron. We need a new director who will restore confidence in Georgia's election system. Thank you for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we have Susan Ross.
Good morning. I am speaking in favor of the Board of Commissioners retaining Richard Barron as the elections director. I believe there was a tremendous improvement from the primary to the general election, and I am strongly in support of continuing that process of improving our elections process. I also, so I am urging you to retain Richard Barron and to work with the elections office to ensure smooth and fair elections. Finally, I would just like to thank Commissioner Abdur-Rahman for her assistance to one of our seniors following the break-ins at the Cascade Nature Preserve. She went above and beyond the call of duty as a person to assist. And we seniors in Fulton County do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Rob Cunningham.
Good morning, and thank you for your time. My name's Rob Cunningham. I'm a citizen and voter of Fulton County District 2 and a resident of Milton. The culture and the unity of every voter in Fulton County is mission number one, and everyone, I believe, on this call recognizes that and owns it. We are, like America, a county of laws, not men or women. To disrespect, violate, ignore, abuse any public trust is to disrespect every single citizen in our county. By his own admission and the popular vote of the public commission, Richard Barron abused the public trust, either intentionally or accidentally. Personally, as a resident of Milton and native-born Georgia, I'm also a Desert Storm veteran, small business owner, and an American. I deserve better, as does every voter in our district. I beg you to please not reverse the vote of those closest to Richard Barron. Those most qualified to judge him voted to terminate him. Lastly, every effort to gaslight, mock, demean, or ridicule those of us who support basic common decency and the rule of law is patently childish. I trust the adults on this commission will prevail, and those closest to observing the failures of Richard Barron will allow to be remained in place, and he will be removed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Bridget Thorne.
I am a 9-year former precinct manager in Dominion Poll Tech. I was troubled by what I saw in the warehouse before the November A+ election, you call it. I did everything I could to think of anyone who would listen. Fulton County Elections did not respond to my emails. I contacted this SOS investigator before and after the election. I was muted by the State Board of Elections, so I testified at the Senate hearing and became a whistleblower. I was fired for testifying. You see, corrupt governments seek to harm the whistleblower. I have emails and texts from elections staff that warned me I was going to be fired for testifying. Yet Richard Barron goes on TV and says he didn't even listen to the hearings. He has been investigating me. He slanders me. Interesting, before the election, I was asked to be a poll worker trainer. So why is he trying to harm me? Is it that I saw the illegal and no chain of custody handling of 40,000 plus early State Farm Arena ballots come into the warehouse? Is it that I worked with Happy Faces employees that were unqualified and inexperienced, and yet overseeing the setting up and testing of the entire election system? Is it that I saw Dominion, now Fulton County employee and a consultant, printing random ballots at 10 p.m. before the election? Is it that I was concerned that the ACLU was placed in all 255 precincts and given access to the entire absentee voter database on their personal computers? Is it that I reported that I was missing 400 blank, pristine absentee ballots? Someone printed and substituted yellow sample ballots. The warehouse couldn't find them. Later, I find out a veteran 20-year precinct manager processed and counted pristine absentee ballots. I'm still puzzled. I can't seem to get any logical explanations. What did I do wrong? I still have no answers. Why does Fulton County Elections Director Richard Barron seek to harm me? You see, corrupt governments seek to harm the whistleblower. Are you okay with this? We don't have trust in our election system, and we won't as long as Richard Barron is at the helm. You must support the bipartisan firing decision.
15 seconds.
You must support the bipartisan decision by the Fulton County Board of Elections. That is why they are there. I gratefully respect your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Cynthia Baltire.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the commission. The Fulton County Board of Elections is chartered with ensuring citizens of Fulton County have elections conducted fairly and with integrity. My vote for the 2020 presidential election was taken from me. I no longer appear on the voter database. I filed a complaint with the fraud line, and I was told I probably got caught up in a glitch on the night of the election. At best, the glitch was due to poor leadership and dereliction of duty. At worst, it was malicious fraud. The citizens of Fulton County deserve better than glitches on the day of elections. Either way, I urge each and every one of you on the commission to uphold the termination of Richard Barron on behalf of the citizens and taxpayers of Fulton County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Reverend Shannon Jones.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm Reverend Shannon Jones, pastor of the Gathering Church in College Park and president of Concerned Black Clergy of Metropolitan Atlanta. I come today to ask the Fulton County Commission to vote no on ratifying the Fulton County Board of Elections termination of Director Richard Barron's employment. During the June 2020 primary elections, we waited in extremely long lines for extremely long hours. People requested absentee ballots that never arrived. Some people were told that even though they requested an absentee ballot that did not arrive, they were not allowed to vote in person. After the June primary election, I called for Mr. Barron's ouster. Many in our county also called for Mr. Barron's ouster. In fact, after June, I'm not too certain that Richard Barron would not have fired Richard Barron. But the Fulton County Board of Elections, for whatever their reason or their interests, did not fire Richard Barron. We demanded swift change. And in November and in January elections, we saw an awesome turnaround. In both November and January, the country and the world watched Fulton County's election. It was perhaps the most scrutinized election in both our state and county's history, and it went smoothly. And how was Richard Barron rewarded? By being fired. Whose interest is being served here? It seems that somebody prefers the job that Richard Barron did in June, which greatly affected our communities, to the job that Richard Barron did in November and January. What's really going on here? I know that Commissioner Liz Hausman, who did contract work for the current Georgia Secretary of State, stated that she's against the commission's intervention into the Fulton Election Board's decision. She's quoted in an article in today's AJC as saying, "My name's on the ballot. I shouldn't be in charge of how the process works." But that's strange because Commissioner Hausman was quite silent in 2018 when then Secretary of State Brian Kemp's name was on the ballot for governor, but it didn't stop him from managing the elections process. Something's not right here. And I ask that you vote no on ratifying Fulton elections vote to fire Richard Barron. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the floor recognizes Mary Jo P.
Good morning. There have been a number of comments regarding Richard Barron's employment with Fulton County, but I want to continue to speak because I believe that my experience is unique. As a volunteer for the Georgia Democratic Party, I recruited and coordinated the scheduling of paper ballot process monitors and vote review panelists for Fulton County. I also volunteered for both of these roles myself. I spent a lot of hours at State Farm Arena, the Georgia World Congress Center, and the Election Preparation Center. During the 2020 and 2021 election, I got to observe and worked with the Fulton County election staff. On a whole, they are dedicated, resourceful, and determined group of employees. From top to bottom, they work tirelessly to provide an efficient and compliant election with accurate results in the worst of environments. As the election season went on, they continuously made adjustments and refinements to their processes and procedures. They were flexible, patient, and tolerant in the face of the pandemic, national attention, dozens of observers asking dozens of questions, and frankly, as we all know, threats on their lives. The stamina, determination, and professionalism that the staff and the contract workers exhibited over the 6-month period cannot just be organic. There has to be effective leadership. And there was. Richard Barron was such a leader and should continue to be so. There are, of course, refinements and improvements to process that can and should be made, but Richard Barron is the leader who should be in charge. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the floor recognizes Sarah Pedro.
Hi, yes, thank you. First of all, I wanted to say, it sounds like a common theme. Everyone is against voter suppression. I'm glad to hear that in this divided country. But I realize that some of the voter suppression comments seem like they're coordinated talking points in the public comments rather than actual voter suppression that did occur. Because our actual votes were not counted, as in the case in the Milton Library precinct. I too listened in on the public debate and vouched for Rick Barron's ouster. It was a bipartisan vote. 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat voted together to remove him. It's sad that you would want to turn over what was clearly a bipartisan decision based on hard facts. Our vote is sacred, and suppression did occur, but not in the talking point way you think. So Rick Barron needs to be terminated. He has publicly stated that he's burned out. Perhaps it's time to find a competent leader for that role, and someone that either is incompetent or was in on it. So thank you for your time.
Floor recognizes Ben Howard.
Thank you. Greetings, commissioners and staff, and greetings also to you citizens and voters of Fulton County who are watching and are listening to your county government in action. Ben Howard, Senior Advocate, Public Policy Analyst. First, the Commission on Elder Affairs meets again the second Friday of this month, March 12th. Permit me to suggest that all new Elder Affairs appointees be provided an information packet which includes, at a minimum, bylaws, an Elder Affairs brochure, and minutes of the last 3 meetings. My second comment, a quaint but respected adage informs us when we point a finger at someone, there are 3 fingers pointing back at us. Please don't finger point. Reject Ordinance 21-0171 on your agenda today. Our focus now needs to be on helping our elections department staff and our poll workers contend with the onslaught of fake election reforms running rampant from the Gold Dawn. I submit that unchained from cronyism and contrivances, Richard Barron, Elections Director, will not only perform well, but will exceed expectations, including those politically motivated, and will be vindicated by a veritable cloud of witnesses on planet Georgia as he rises. May we all have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. So we're at the end of our 30-minute time period for public comment. However, there are about 10 or 12 other people who indicated that they'd like to speak. So unless there is some serious, strong objection, I'd like to allow those who've signed up to speak. But I'd like to ask them, though, to shorten their comments to less than 2 minutes if possible. Continue.
Mr. Chairman, the floor has Andrea McCavitt.
McCavitt?
That's correct.
McCavitt, are you there? All right, go to the next one.
We have a CJ Holloman.
Morning. Greetings to all. Just want to say, please do not take away please don't take away Brother Barron. All of us make mistakes, but all of us have an opportunity to improve, and he has improved. So please, let's just do what's right. Thank you.
We have a Eric Thomas.
Yes, good morning to all of the commissioners. My name is Eric Thomas, and I'm a lifetime resident of Fulton County. I'm speaking on behalf of the resolution in regards to Medicaid paying for heart transplants. As a recent heart transplant recipient, I have, during the course of my process through full heart failure, I was able to run into quite a few people who, as a result of having Medicaid, could not receive the same blessing and benefit that I did through receiving a transplant. Instead, they were limited to a procedure or a therapy that was not as transformational and life-changing, however, probably very similar in cost. And so I would support and ask that the commission will support this resolution, if it's today or when it comes before this commission, that would go to the state, that law would be changed, that all those who have Medicaid would be would qualify for a heart transplant, because it's truly, as I can speak personally, transformational. Thank you so much for your time.
We have Ellen Deal. Ellen Deal.
Ms. Deal? All right, next.
We have, what was that, Hermione Hunt.
Next.
We have LaRoyce Morgan. Laura Price. Lauren Lauser. We have a Lori, Lori T. What about Crystal Perkins?
Yes, this is Christelle Perkins. And I worked at the Autry Mill precinct as a poll worker and saw the frustration of getting sample ballots instead of the provisional ballots that we needed. The sample ballots do nothing. Because of COVID, instead of 10% provisional ballots, we were to get 25%. That's 200 ballots that were unaccounted. And I know this happened at other precincts as well. We were making calls to get those to our precinct for that day. But things like that just make me question Richard Barron. I believe that there were so many things that were just inept, including the Milton Library, those not even counting when people went and stood in line. And I am motioning for Richard Barron to be removed from his position, because we need voter integrity and we need to know that our vote counts. This is just an extremely important issue to me. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a Kate Brumback.
Can you hear me? This is Andrea McCavitt. You called me earlier, but I wasn't able to unmute my phone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm a resident of Milton, Georgia, and I would just like to concur with everyone that is concerned about voter suppression. I think we should all be concerned that our one voice that we have is to vote for who we believe should be representing us. And when even just one person does not have the opportunity to have their voice heard, that is very concerning. And I'm just voicing myself at this time because I was part of the Milton Library situation whose vote did not get counted. And, perhaps it wouldn't have made any difference. But the point is, I heard Robert Barron speaking when they discussed on a similar call about a month ago. And it was like, well, no big deal. We'll get it rectified next time. And you know what? For someone that was in the implementation management business, you test out your systems long before you go live. And these kinds of processes and procedures should have been ironed out long before the election came. If this man has been in this business for as long as he has, this should have been a no-brainer. So for every person who has never had their voice heard, we are speaking up now because that is our representation, is in our vote. It's sacred. It's important for every person in Fulton County and around the country. Thank you.
Kate Brumback.
I'm media. I don't have a comment. I didn't want to make a comment.
No problem. Thank you. LaRoyce Morgan. Laura Price. Michael Cooper. It's Tricia Lovett. Mr. Chair, that ends all the roll call attendees.
Thank you. All right, so with that will conclude the public comments portion of our agenda. Now, before we get to the county manager's items, I've been informed that back on page 2, under Board of Commissioners proclamations for spreading on the minutes, Commissioner Abdul Rahman had one to be spread on the minutes, but the honorees Harold and Mary Lyons Appreciation Day, they're present, and the commission would like to present the proclamation to them at this time. So if there are no objections to that, we would take care of that and move directly to the county manager's items. All right, Commissioner Abdul Rahman.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate you accommodating. These are citizens. These are citizens of Fulton County and also very well beloved individuals in my district. This proclamation, whereas Harold and Mary Lyons have been residents of District 6 since August of 1969, when they purchased their home in the residence of Beltran Neighbors Village in the Audubon Forest in Southwest Atlanta. And whereas Harold Lyons was born on February 10, 1936, and graduated from Washington Comprehensive High School, then was drafted into the United States Army in 1957. After an honorable discharge, he played semi-professional football in Atlanta and was later drafted to the Washington Redskins. And whereas Mr. Lyons retired from General Motors in Doraville as a lead pipe fitter and coached both Little League football and First Tee Youth Golf, both in the Cascade community. He has been a member of Allen Temple AME Church since his childhood and has since been a member of the men's choir, Voices of Allen, Choir Number 1, and was a guest soloist with the Temple of Life Gospel Choir. And whereas Mary Lyons was born on February 20th, 1941, and graduated from Archer High School in Atlanta, then earned her Bachelor of Arts degree from Morris Brown College in Atlanta. She later pledged both Sigma Gamma Rho and Chi Mu Epsilon sororities grand chapters. And whereas Mrs. Lyons was employed with the United States Civil Service Commission and retired from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, she volunteered her time as a local Girl Scout leader and served on several church organizations at Allen Temple AME Church, including the Stewardess Board at the Women's Missionary Society and Church Beautification Committees, among others. And whereas the Lions were married on September 29th, 1963, and are the proud parents of 3 daughters, Detancia, Pamela, and Reka. As a couple, the Lions have donated over 14,000 volunteer service hours to Southwest Atlanta and Fulton County as a whole, which is an honorable feat and speaks to their outstanding level of commitment to our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fulton County Board of Commissioners recognizes Harold and Mary Lyons for their dedication and service to District 6 community of Fulton County for the past 52 years, and does hereby proclaim Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021, as Harold and Mary Lyons Appreciation Day in Fulton County, Georgia. We love this couple. They have worked tirelessly behind the scenes, and we thank Mary and Harold Lyons. And Mr. Lyons, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, and it'll be very few. First of all, I thank my Malcolm, God for his son, Jesus Christ, our Savior. And I speak for his name because he is my Savior and he's everybody's Savior. And that's all I have to say because that's been good to me.
Thank you, Mr.
85 years they put me on the church to stay, and I'm still here.
And you still volunteering. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, back to page 5. Madam Clerk.
Page 5, County Manager's items under Open and Responsible Government 21-0161, presentation of COVID-19 operational response update.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We'll walk through our COVID response with both current numbers as well as the vaccine rollout plans. In general, you're going to see that the trends have improved significantly, but it appears that we've reached a plateau, much like the rest of the country, at about 180 new cases a day. But that's still a third of where we were at one point in time in terms of the total. But we still have 3.7 deaths per day in Fulton County. So remaining focused is critical. And we'll talk about that even as hospital capacity has improved greatly. Testing of 1.6 million now and vaccines being administered over 300,000 really shows Fulton County remains in the leadership position that we've been in since the onset of this pandemic, which of course has accrued to the benefit of our citizens. We'll discuss the vaccine ramp-up plan today in some great detail. You'll see that going all the way back to December, that it's quite a ramp in terms of personnel as well as vaccine inventory with, as an example, clinicians needing to go from 6 to around 60. The number of vaccines going from 2,000 a month to over 60,000. Of course, we'll use our fixed sites that we have, which have been our mainstay, as well as 4 to 8 mobile vans that will push the vaccine out into communities, many of which are underserved. So you'll see that plan today, and we welcome your comments and counsel on that. With the successful opening of GICC, and we appreciate again College Park's role in that and their hospitality in making that happen. We're now very focused on the ramp up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and the desire to see that reach 6,500 vaccines per day. Commissioner Hausman and I visited that facility yesterday, and it truly is astounding what can be done there as well as what's already being done. I think innovations like our health equity initiative, I believe we've served over 650 folks now, as well as the emergency rental assistance program, which we'll overview today, that's been launched, show again the leadership that Fulton County has demonstrated throughout this pandemic. We're also going to discuss a soft reopening of the libraries with a caveat on the conditions may change by the interim of the mid-May planned date. But I think Gail Holloman and her staff, along with Dr. Rochelle and Anna, have really thought through the specifics, and we want to share those with you today. We know that they'll be exciting for many of our library patrons. As well, we are looking at potential uses of Assembly Hall for both jury selection as well as future BOC meetings. And again, we solicit your input on those plans as they become final. In the spirit of keeping the core functions of government working, we'll also respond today to your request for a salary review. I think that's long overdue and will be very helpful in keeping our talent here in Fulton County. We would remind you as we go through this process, particularly during the pandemic, of the many steps that we've taken to address frontline employee pay, including the Archer study, the living wage, pay for performance plan, and now the incremental compensation strategy. Ken Harmon will overview that, as well as a plan to look at our salaries across Fulton County government. As you know, we're not awarding a performance payout for 2021, both due to the lack of key performance indicators from 2020, given the disruption of our operations, but also to be consistent with, I think, what we communicated to employees throughout 2020 and achieved, and that was our focus was on avoiding any layoffs or furloughs that would have negatively impacted our employees. And I think our employees have done a great job stepping into unusual and different roles as we've asked them to do, and the county's done an excellent job at keeping their pay very consistent during this highly uncertain time. We'll update you on the use of the $45.7 million in emergency response that you approved in the budget, and we remain in a good position with that, with the allocations continuing, and you'll see some of those contracts that have been awarded. Most notably today, you'll probably see on the emergency purchase list the award of the contract to CORE, which keeps both staffing at our sites stable, as well as enables the mobile units that were very, very successful in the rollout of the mobile COVID test plan. But we also know that we'll need to continue to act and adjust, because there's still things that we do not know. And hopefully one of the things that we will allude to today is the possibility of additional federal funding as that legislation moves forward. And certainly we are already thinking through what uses would be of highest priority, and we'll bring that back most likely in the next meeting to begin to socialize that with you, some of our thinking. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I want to turn it over to Anna Roach, Chief Operating Officer, and we'll move through this agenda.
All right. Good morning, Madam COO. You have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Typically, we find that we can run through our COVID update fairly quickly, and we'll endeavor to do that today. But I do think there are a number of things that we want to update you on with respect to reopening that may draw a lot of interest and questions from the board. So we ask for your patience as we go through that section. Before we do that, I'd like to turn it over to our dynamic trio, Matt Kallmeyer, Doug Schuster, and Dr. Paxton, to go through the incident response update.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you so much. Good morning, Board of Commissioners. We'll go ahead and get this started as we always do with an update from Doug Schuster with EMSI regarding how we're looking at nationally as well as in the state and in our jurisdiction. Doug, please get us started.
Good morning, Commissioners. As I always do, I kind of like to show the visuals of the progression of communicability in the United States. And for the last couple meetings, we've been giving really very good news and trends. But I think today's report shows a bit of a cautionary tale that I hope to show you in the following PowerPoint. As you can see, just 2 weeks ago on the 15th, the United States, the darker the colors, the more communicable the disease is. You can see an improvement in just 2 weeks, but I do want to bring notice that the darker areas are still on the East Coast, with Georgia being still the 7th worst communicable state in the United States. While our numbers have been trending in the right direction, one of the sickest places in the United States still is in the Southeast and the Atlantic coast. Next slide. And then really, you can generally tell a lot of difference when we're doing 2-week comparisons, but overall, there's very little difference between 2 weeks ago for the state of Georgia and to what it looks like today. And a lot of the data really supports that, but visually, Georgia has not gotten substantially better in the last 2 weeks as far as spread of the disease. Next slide. And I came across an interesting graphic by calendar that kind of shows really the health of Fulton County. So I've drilled down to Fulton County on this slide on communicability. And as you can see, January and December were by far our worst months, but February was our 3rd worst month. And I think when you hear that things are going down, vaccines around the corner, that we think, oh, let's reopen, let's do this, I can go. We need to really remain vigilant when we're talking about, that's why there's a lot of caution about reopening certain things. We need to continue to see these trends go down, and I just think this is a good way to look at it. We're still highly infectious with the disease at this time. Next slide. We talk a lot about death as a lagging indicator. It's been the end of a month, so I like to show you the monthly totals. You can see that 23% of all deaths in Fulton County came in January and February, the last 2 orange lines. And it really is represented well here as a lagging indicator to the substantial case rate that we had in the months of December and January. And like I said, it is generally tied to the rising case rates. And so if we want to eventually keep the death rate low, we need to pay very close attention and try and keep our case rate low. Next slide. This slide has a lot of summary on it. I want to go through it. Talk a little bit about testing in the green first. Our testing now is down below 5,000 a day for the county. The county manager did tell you that we're over 1.6 million at this time. But as you can see on the far right of the green chart, that there has been a steady decrease. A lot of that is because there's not as many symptomatic people, and the holiday travel is behind us, but we are seeing a pretty steady decline in the demand for testing. That being said, the county still has more testing availability with our SPOCs and the same really that we've had all along, but it is interesting to note that it's going down. Well, one cautionary note I want to show you on the orange chart, which is the cases for Fulton County. You see the dramatic high on January 1st, and then this pretty sharp decline. But if you notice right at the end on the far right, there's a little hook. That little hook is a slight rise to plateau in cases. For the last 6 days in the county, in the state, in the United States, the drop in case rate has basically come to a halt, which is concerning because it does kind of point to the fact that people are loosening social distancing and some of the other countermeasures. So it is It is a significant thing that we need to pay attention to, and I think it's a warning to people to stay the course. We're deploying the vaccine, but I think it's something that we'll definitely keep an eye on. A little bit of a lagging indicator is the hospitalizations. We are finally below the 400 mark. We've gone from 610 when we met 2 weeks ago to 398 as a 7-day average in the hospitals, which is a great trend, taking some of the strain on the hospitals off. And then our deaths, like we said, it is a lagging indicator, and it has gone down from 7.3 to actually 3.7 as of yesterday. So we hope that that trend continues. Next slide. And then we have updated now our projections through the end of May, June 1st. And the new death projections for the county, most probable is 1,319. And then the best case scenario is 1,253. You see that there's not such a wide spread anymore, which means they're fairly certain that the number will be in that area. You can look at the black line and see kind of the dramatic increase. The upward tilt has happened over the last 2 months. We do expect that to level off some in the coming months. I do want to bring note to that Fulton County's percent of the state's deaths comparative is now down below 7%, and that is a tribute to the hard work of our testing efforts, our investigation efforts, isolation efforts, and then the excellent medical care within the county confines. Next slide. The scorecard basically for, as you can see, what we're looking for is a lot of green in the status, and you still see a lot of yellow and one red with a couple greens, but that yellow is like coming to a stoplight and is a warning, and we are not out of the woods yet. And the hospital bed availability is improving. The deaths is improving a little. Our morgue capacity is definitely improving. And then at the very bottom, you see the vaccines administered, that we have administered over 90% of the vaccine that we've received through the Board of Health. And we'll talk more about vaccine in a minute. Next slide.
Matt. Thank you, Doug. Getting back to testing, what we're looking at right now is a total of 1,648,104. Once again, 1,648,104 total tests accomplished in Fulton County. If you add the other 3 health districts up, they come out to 1.26 million, so still leading the effort and emphasis on testing as we continue to fight COVID in our jurisdiction. Moving on to the next slide, which is our dashboard. Next slide, please. Thank you. Doug, let's go ahead and run this together.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, there's a lot of great news lately about the availability of vaccine. We still have a very unstable supply at this time, but from everything that we're hearing from our counterparts, that the vaccine supply is getting ready to open up. Just so you know, we're still dealing with a very unsteady supply, and yet we've maximized what we can do. As of 2 days ago, we had given 46,900 first doses and 26,500 second doses. The updated total number for today, as we crossed the 75,000 barrier yesterday, we're at 76,462, and we are at our largest single testing day to date by over 500 doses at 29,079, and we are poised to be over 3,000 for the rest of this week. We have 7,500 first and second shot appointments scheduled this week, both, which is our most ambitious week to date. And we are still in the Group 1A. And Dr. Paxton, I'm sure, will tell you about some of the additions to Group 1A and where we are there. But like I said, we're very excited. We're starting to see higher levels, and we hope that trend continues. And we are planning and preparing to be able to do much more with our fixed sites. Next slide. So this is a snapshot from the state vaccine dashboard. As you can see, 309,000 vaccines administered in the county. What I really get drawn to here is the first dose. That's almost 200,000, or just under 20% individuals, unique individuals have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine, which I believe puts us ahead of the pace of most of the country. And we're pretty proud of that. And then, like I said, other than a few, 3 or 4 very small counties, our per 100,000 is first in the county too. And like I said, there has been some additions with schools and some medically fragile people that have been added to phase 1A. We're now thinking that that population could be as high as 300,000. And so we're preparing to reach those groups and planning with our school systems to make that happen. Next slide. It's always nice to take a regional look at what's going on so we can see what's going on between us and our neighbors. And this is the report as of 2 days ago. We're just about doing the same amount as the 3 neighboring counties in Cobb, DeKalb, and Gwinnett. And it's depicted here very well. We're working with those partners in neighboring counties to show them how we're doing vaccines, and we're glad to help them improve their efforts. Next slide. Okay, I know that there's a lot on this slide. I will try and explain it the best I can. When we first started planning for vaccines in November of last year, our planning assumption was 1/4 of the vaccine supply for the county for the Board of Health. And so far we've been right on that assumption. And then we knew that vaccine supply would be slow at the beginning. And so we've been able to build capacity of personnel and capacity logistically to be able to accomplish the mission of the growing vaccine supply. We have exceeded every monthly goal. The first 3 gray bars that you see are real-time numbers. So we did 1,424 in December, 28,620 in January, and 43,000 vaccines in the month of February. And then March, April, and May are estimates based on growth in vaccine supply and really what we consider our share of what we're going to get. And those numbers may grow substantially if Mercedes-Benz is designated a mega site. So we're hoping to see more. And then as you see underneath, we have staffing needs to be able to accomplish, and Matt's going to talk a little bit more about our staffing needs here in a couple. But I just want to tell you that we've exceeded our goals, and that doesn't mean that we're resting on our laurels. We are planning on maximizing our throughput and making sure that every citizen that wants a vaccine, that we can accommodate them. Next slide. A little bit of a timeline for you to look at. The timeline has changed a little bit as who's in what phase has changed. We are expecting a large increase of vaccine supply. If you look at the timeline in the middle of the page, around the last week in March, first week in April. And so we're building our capacity to make that happen. And phase 1B, hopefully we can get to that phase fairly quickly. Right now, our estimates are middle of April to middle of May. And then phase 1C, which are all the medically comorbidity group, that would start in the middle of May. And hopefully we can move this timeline along. It's our goal to do this as quickly and safely as possible. You can see the groups that are covered in 1A, and there's been additions to that since the beginning. And so our goal is to meet the state's mandate and do it as efficiently as possible. We also have some of the estimations of the populations that are in these groups, and then how we're going to be doing it with our fixed sites and then our strike teams and mobile units. And I'm going to talk about that on the next slide, or Matt is. So
thank you, Doug.
Go ahead, Matt.
So we've always shared before that we, with the proper allocation of vaccines and the necessary financial support and clinical support, we could actually take ourselves to 20,500 vaccines administered in our jurisdiction per day. That would come in a pretty much a situation where about 15,000 would occur at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 3,200 at the GICC, and somewhere just north of 2,000 at our 4,700 locations. So that is what we're looking at if we had to go ahead and push our teams and our facilities to the absolute red line. But we'll have to see where we can get based upon the next couple of weeks with the vaccines are coming through. As we know, Dr. Paxton will probably talk about J&J, Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the partnership with J&J and another pharmaceutical company to increase production and how that will look for us. So a lot of things ahead. Dr. Paxton will definitely be the appropriate person to talk about that. But one of the things that we have been a success with is our mobile program in testing. So we got out, worked out in using our epidemiologists to look for heat maps, and we got out into the community. We were able to go ahead and impact change by testing individuals in places that had lack of resources, also where we looked for hotspots. It's not going to be as easy when it comes to our mobile vaccination process because we do not have that type of medical investigation that we can do for this. So what we will do is actually look to how can we do this in underserved locations. So the first thing we wanted to make sure everyone is aware that we did deploy our first mobile unit back in January of this year. What we were doing with that is taking care of the long-term acute care facilities and nursing homes in our community that did not partner with CVS and Walgreens. And we have successfully done that, and 1,150 vaccinations have been accomplished with that public-private partnership with our first mobile team, which was Tuxedo Pharmacy, to be able to do that. The second team that we took and put into place is our Equity Strike Team, which is our Board of Health individuals, and you'll hear more about our equity program as you've heard about it, and you'll hear more about it today. But we were able to go ahead and launch that program on the 17th of February. And so far, we've actually went ahead and removed barriers for vaccination access and actually have taken care of about 1,000 vaccines to date. The next phase of what we're looking at is how can we, in the beginning of April, activate up to 5 mobile units and 1 strike team to go ahead and bring, once again, the vaccine to our portion of our population that cannot actually come to one of our fixed sites. And that's what we're working towards in this particular moment in time. So how will we actually select the locations? We'll be looking once again for underserved locations within our community. That's what we'll be prioritizing them. We'll also be prioritizing based upon what tier we're in. So as we move to tier 1B, of course, we'll be looking at how do we handle our critical infrastructure partners and all the subgroups of that and making sure that they can get vaccinated as quickly as possible. We can't do this with our faith-based partners. I think every one of us knows that that is where our community members have the most faith, have the most confidence in, and as we partner with them, they will be the ones that are acting in our best interest to make sure that their flock is comfortable with the vaccine and bringing them to a location that they feel very comfortable with actually achieving that life-saving initiative. And the last one is, once again, we can't do this without our leveraging our municipal partners. We'll look for their guidance as looking for places in our community that we have not seen, that we have not targeted, and we will make sure that we do our darndest to take on those particular areas. With that being said, I'd like to go ahead and bring the last of the trio, Dr. Paxton, into the conversation, who is actually at the Mercedes-Benz site today. We had the opportunity to greet the team, Dr. Paxton and myself, this morning and tell them how great and impressed we are with what they're doing. Both of us have been there on separate occasions, but never together addressing the team. And the one thing I would love to go ahead and share with the group before Dr. Paxton speaks is the Center for Disease Control came and actually worked with us and asked us how we're operating at that site. They were really interested with that, their COVID response team. They sent back some other individuals to sit in the security room, and they ran through videotape. They watched live video footage. They clocked us. They looked at how we were doing, and they went back and revamped their COVID mass vaccination plans based upon what we were doing and the times that we were seeing. So that's a true testament to how, once again, our joint efforts are coming through and will be able to impact not only the rest of our jurisdiction, the rest of Georgia, and the rest of the country. Dr. Paxton, back to you.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, I was just talking to someone here. Yeah, I guess the things I'd like to bring you up to date on, I think many of you who have been reading the paper are very well aware of this. The newest things that have been happening in the vaccine supply world is that the Johnson & Johnson one-dose vaccine has received its emergency use authorization, and it's expected, it's still available only in relatively limited quantities, and as I've understood, Georgia is expected to receive somewhere around, slightly under 85,000 doses. We have not yet been informed at the county level how that will be allocated. My guess is that they're probably going to prioritize allocation to the more rural counties that don't have access to the sub-zero freezers that we already have and the like. So anyway, we'll keep you apprised as to whether we get J&J vaccine and how much. Because we do have a plan for how we would deploy that here in Fulton County, dependent on how much we get in. The main things I think to be aware of in terms of the J&J vaccine, if you're asked about it, is that it has been widely reported that it is a one-shot dose. I think we might have talked about this last meeting, but it is a one-shot vaccine and does not have the stringent storage requirements as does like the Pfizer and even the Moderna. So those are incredibly useful in terms of logistics of getting it out. However, it does have there were no head-to-head trials of Pfizer versus Moderna versus J&J. So all the trials were conducted separately and at different times of the epidemic in terms of like the prevalence of variants. But what is good is that all three vaccines are equally effective, almost 100% effective in terms of preventing what we really need to prevent, which is serious illness and death. And so while you will probably hear, then it's been widely reported that the efficacy of the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine against mild illness is somewhat less than the Pfizer and Moderna. It's around the 75% range. That's from the public health standpoint, that's actually kind of almost less of an issue. What we're really most concerned about is keeping people out of the hospital and keeping people from dying. And all three vaccines are equally effective at doing that. So that's just a little bit about the J&J vaccine. We'll keep you apprised as to whether or not we receive it, and how we will use it if we get it. As was mentioned, the Tier 1A was expanded to include, as of March 8th, not right now, but in a few days, to include school staff, to include people who are disabled, and those caregivers of medically fragile children. So we're gearing up for that and are ready as much as we can be to deal with that starting on the 8th. There is something that's somewhat different from what was presented on the slide for you, in that in terms of what's next, which groups will be next. DPH is moving sort of away from talking about phases and really talking more about which population groups will be seen. And actually, the last discussion that we had about this last week, it looks like the actual next population group that will be brought in is likely to be adults who are under the age of 65 yet have significant comorbidities that put them at risk at higher COVID risk. So we don't know exactly when that will happen, and that can always change. We're often as surprised as anybody else when the governor has a press conference and will make a pronouncement that we were not necessarily prepared for. But at the moment, that was what was discussed, is that the next population after schools, the disabled, and the caregivers of medically fragile children is likely to be adults who are under the age of 65, yet have significant comorbidities. Now, again, as I'm well aware of my propensity to talk on and over-explain, so I'm going to stop now and open up to questions so that I'm a bit more directed as to what you would like to, to hear about after that fabulous presentation from Doug and Matt, and who have basically covered it all as far as I see it. So I'm open to questions now.
All right, commissioners, are there questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Wow.
I'll go first.
Thought I'd been spared. Wow. Okay.
I don't know. We always want to be able to communicate on this important topic. First of all, I want to just say that I'm so glad that I was able to come out yesterday to Mercedes-Benz. Thank you, Matt, for all you and your team are doing out there. It was very impressive, and I can understand why the CDC would look favorably on what you're doing and use that to model other programs. So hats off to you on that as well. It's nice to see the leadership from Arthur Blank's organization that were also there and so pleased to be our partner with us. That was also very, very encouraging to see how dedicated they are to helping us. So that's wonderful. You mentioned mega site designation. What exactly does that mean if we were designated a mega site?
Is that, sorry, for myself or Dr. Paxton, ma'am?
Matt, why don't you take it?
Okay, you mentioned it. I just heard it and it perked my interest.
So there's a couple different classifications of FEMA, of course, whenever they get involved, loves to go ahead and type different sites and sizes. One of their larger sizes is 1,000 a day vaccines actually being produced. So, of course, the 4 sites that they have operated in partnership with GEMA, one of those being at the Delta Museum, is considered that large location. All of our sites actually would meet the same classification because we have the capability of doing right now 1,500 a day at all 3 locations. We are actually scheduled to do 1,200 today at the Mercedes-Benz sites. We're definitely well above what the classification would mean to that. But getting it to a mega site would be definitely ramping up to, probably almost 6 times, if not more, of what we're looking at. And we're still in hopes through our partnership with the governor's office that we can compel our federal partners to believe in us and take it to that next level. So there's still a lot of negotiations ongoing, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get the support from our state and federal partners to just really ramp this up to what it can be.
So if we were designated a mega site, we would still be managing that site, correct? It wouldn't mean that the feds or the CDC or the state would take that over, would it?
Well, that is not normally what happens in these situations. Of course, you would always, every disaster is considered locally managed. That's one mantra that you'll always hear from the feds. And what normally happens is that the local municipality says we need assistance in what form, and they fold in to go ahead and support that local agency in their efforts. So we hope that will continue to be the case in this particular response. And, we look forward to not only taking advantage of clinical support, but also vaccination support. So the one thing that would be great is how do we increase our allocations for this operation? So that's what we're shooting for, is expressing that to our state and federal partners to give us the next big push of vaccines so we can just take the governor off of this big engine.
And I think when it comes to control, I mean, I can't speak about how the CDC operates because I spent much of my lifetime there, is that the CDC doesn't actually have the authority to go into any spot and take over. You can't go in unless you're invited, by the state. The person who holds the power here in determining how functions really comes down to the governor. Hopefully in consultation with Department of Public Health. We think we can make a very, very good case that we are running a state-of-the-art operation here, and that there is no reason to change our, being the head of that. So that's what we're going to. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So I think that we have, just based on performance, we have a very good argument to make that we should be continuing as we are, and should be allocated more of the vaccines.
Couldn't agree more, and I'm sure they recognize that as well. So back to your numbers. So we can do up to 6,500 in Mercedes-Benz. Is that the correct number?
Well, we definitely, based upon the planning and looking at the facility, if we activated the field and the 100, 200, and 300 level of facility, we could definitely do 15,000 a day. I don't know if we'll be able to get to that. We may be able to have something more reasonable in the 6,000 range. So I know we've been working closely with Dr. Paxton to get to that point. Our county manager's also been leveraging his connections with the governor's office to advocate for us as well. So we're hoping that in the next week or two, we'll have a very successful announcement to get us to that level.
And then the capacity at GICC?
To GICC, based upon the footprint that we have, not trying to impact their for-profit business there, is about 3,200 is we'll be able to take that up to.
And at North Point?
North Point will be a little bit short of that, maybe about 2,200. 2,000 is where I would be most comfortable at that location.
And then the mobile units, what kind of capacity do they have?
That's really going to depend. I mean, we could do anywhere between 150 to 300 a day with that. It's still going to be a registration process. We can't do a walk-up because of just some of the logistics with managing the vaccine, making sure people are registered so they can then be tied into the GRIT system for documentation. So it's not as easy as just, hey, come, we're going to be parked here, come walk on up and get your swab like we did for vaccination. We're still going to have to register. It's going to be a little bit more cumbersome than we were able to do for the testing process, but we still feel that we could find places where there are impediments to be able to go ahead and get to a doctor's office and other things, and that's what we want to be able to do, is find those parts in our community and just saturate them with our mobile units.
Well, just looking at the breakdown of the capacity numbers, the North Fulton area, it looks like it's flipped a little bit, where the capacity is really not as prevalent as the rest of the county at this point. So, we've got a third or more of the population up in North Fulton. So I don't know what we could do to perhaps offer more capacity north of the river, but I just ask that you take a look at that if in fact we do get more opportunity to provide more vaccines, because it is a hardship for folks to drive from North Fulton all the way downtown, as you know.
No, we have a couple other options there, ma'am. We just we need that sustained vaccine allocation. That's how we can do some of our forecasting, but we have some great options north of the river like you're referencing. So before we can pull the trigger, just have to get that vaccine allocation.
Very good. I'm glad to hear that you're already thinking of that. And then do we keep up with the home county of where people are coming from when we service them with vaccines? I mean, I know we will take any eligible person, but I'm just curious if we're tracking how many are Fulton County residents and how many come from other locations.
Dr. Paxton, I'll pass that one to you since it ties into the GRIT system.
Yeah, well, the last time that we looked at that, it's kind of sometimes it can be a little bit hard to tease out. But the last figure that I remember hearing was that about around 85% of the people that we could identify, the county coming from were from Fulton County. Lived in Fulton County. We, again, we've always been open to people who are also work in Fulton County, such as yours truly. I'm a DeKalb resident, but I work in Fulton County, and I was vaccinated in Fulton County. So, but we had 85% who were, as said, they lived in Fulton County.
I have heard a lot of folks that have told me they've gone to Dublin or Augusta or Jasper or places like that just because that's where they could get a vaccine. So obviously it'd be great to have more here so that folks don't have to do that. And I would just imagine that there's a lot of folks, again, looking wherever they can And if they can get an appointment in Fulton, they're going to take it. So again, keep up the great work. We really appreciate this. Y'all are doing excellent service to the community with what you're doing with the vaccines and the testing. So just a great story, and happy to see it.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Mr. Morris, you have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, as the father and the uncle and the godfather of so many teachers, I was very glad to see the governor put them in Group 1A. But in that connection, Dr. Paxton or Mr. Kallmeyer, could one of you for the public just speak a little bit about where we are with our sign-up website, which I understand was deactivated in February 9th, and the new state sign-up? Who can sign up? Can people who are not in 1A sign up? Is there, I haven't gone on it, obviously. I've had both of my vaccinations. But is there a mechanism for them describing whether they're a teacher, whether they're in their age for being in 1B or 1C or whatever? Could you just tell the public a little bit about where we are with that sign up and who's eligible to sign up?
Well, I could, but I don't know. Maybe is Doug still on? I think he might be good. He can talk about the two systems we work with.
I think he
Doug did step out, ma'am. So I'll do my best to go ahead and channel my inner Doug here. So a lot of work has been done with Fulton County Public Schools and Atlanta Public Schools. The process, as we did first time for their individuals 65 plus, would be a designated time period for them. What we have done to this far is every week we've had coordination meetings with their individuals, their chief clinical officers within their program. Similar to last time, we'll leverage both APS as well as Fulton County Public School nurses. We'll activate a separate pod for them and be able to vaccinate their teachers over a period of time that they selected. One would like to do it over 3 days. One would like to go over 5 to 7 days. And our location of choice will be Mercedes-Benz Stadium that they've all agreed to because of the ample parking and space. So the Arthur Blank team has definitely supported us to activate another pod within the facility to help our school teachers to achieve that mission. So there'll be a separate process to go ahead and get them through as opposed to what you are actually referring to as our public's forward-facing request process. So there is the VRAS system that you've heard about with some Microsoft Dynamics that the State Department of Public Health has been working on diligently to unveil. We're getting ready next week to go ahead and activate a portion of that in our jurisdiction and make sure that we're prepared to do a full shift over when appropriate. We want to make sure that the system is solid before subjecting any of our citizens to that and having any bit of hiccups along the way. So we're still working on our list of individuals from 1A. We had a pretty robust list of individuals that did call in that want to get waitlisted on that, and we have pared that down to a good portion. And as we finalize that list in the process that we're using, which is a jot form system, tied into, of course, the call center that is a joint Board of Health, Fulton County call center in the county building here, that we will be able to be prepared to do a full move to the VRAS system, which would be once again tied to the State Department of Public Health, the greater state system, and then also into documentation for GRITS. There is another system out there that you've heard from the governor's office. There are 4 sites that are working off of that. That is a Share Care powered site, which is a local business in Atlanta. Those are the ones that are the FEMA GEMA locations. Those are the ones that we know for a fact that you can sign up no matter what tier you're in at any particular time, and then you'll be put into a priority chart for that particular tier when that comes up. I do not believe VRAS is set up in such a fashion at this particular time. It's just based upon the tier that is currently present that they will accept registrations for.
All right, that was a lot, Mr. Kallmeyer, and I was getting a little lost.
I apologize, sir.
No, it's not your fault. It's complicated. Did I understand you to say that teachers do not need to sign up on what you described as these
At least for the Fulton County Public Schools and Atlanta Public School System, we're working with their administration to have a different process for them. We're still working with.
If you don't mind, just let me make sure I understand. And
yes, sir.
Question. So APS teachers and staff and Fulton County School and staff will not need to be signing up with us or the state or anybody else. You'll be dealing directly with the APS and Fulton County school systems to have these mass vaccination days. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as to our old sign-up system, we're not taking any more names. We haven't been taking any more names or sign-ups. We're working through getting those people who had signed up when we ceased it vaccinated. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so these other systems, you mentioned the VRAS, that's the state system, and you say that's really not necessarily up and running yet?
If I may just go ahead and clarify my statement, it is a system they're rolling out. They were one of the locations that was chosen to be one of the first places that rolled out to. And what we're doing is taking a portion of our daily allocation of vaccines into the VRAS system to make sure that it is stable enough for us to go ahead and do a full unveiling. Doug did walk back in the room, and if he had anything else to add to that, please do. We're talking about VRAS, Doug, and the implementation of VRAS.
So the first state appointments actually were this week, and we're rolling out a limited soft opening of it as we need. Our current system is meeting our needs. Eventually, VRAS will be what we need to use, but we figured there's about 6 different reasons why a soft rollout was a smart decision. And we believe by the time we're ready to fully implement, we'll be through with our wait list, and we'll be able to open the VRAS system up and use it as it's intended to be. And so right now we're meeting the supply and demand need based on our allotment, and we're waiting. We're hoping that VRAS will work out some of the kinks, and then when we're towards the end of the month, we'll be ready and on board to use that. We feel fortunate that we have one of the better systems in place. Didn't start out that way, but right now the jot forms that we're using has been successful, and we all just felt like it was let's stick with that a little bit longer and do a soft opening. So that's really the plan.
But again, with the jot form, we're not having any new signups, correct?
We make reservations through jot forms based on the wait list. So we'll open up 1,000. If we have 1,000 spots, we'll email 1,000 people on the list and say sign up on jot forms. That's how that works. It's
but no new.
We determine what we have and then we use it.
But no new signups for the wait list.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to make real clear for folks. So, Doug, should folks be signing up on the state system even though it's not fully rolled out?
The state system is going to work very similarly to whatever reservation system that's out there. They do not have a wait list. So when VRAS opens up, we'll know how many vaccination appointments we have for the week. Hopefully we can get more than just a week in advance. And so we'll say that for example, North Point Parkway can do 1,000 a day. First shot appointments, then we'll tell that, and then they'll be able to go straight. There is no wait list. You'll just go. It'll open up until it closes. So it'll work that way. We'll manage our second dose appointments until we're done through our system. That's why we're going to have a hybrid for a couple weeks, but there's no place to sign up. When spots come open, they'll be open, and we'll communicate that through our webpage.
So in that sense, it'll be like our system was initially, where it opened up for a few hours. That week's appointments got filled up, and then the site said there are no appointments available. Check back later. Is that what?
Correct. And like I said, it may be. I think the state's going to use the system to allocate vaccine to. So based on past performance, it'll be much easier if it's a state-run system. So hopefully that will allow us to make appointments, not just a week at a time, but possibly 2-3 weeks ahead. That's the goal.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, Madam COO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next slide, please. And next slide. Commissioners, as you'll notice on our gating criteria slide, we have upgraded the indicator for the number of cases and the positivity rate within Fulton County from red to yellow. And that's consistent with all of the progress that Doug and Dr. Paxton talked about in the emergency management update that you just heard. Testing and equipment ability remain green. One of the things we have been talking about starting to track is vaccination. We have been in communication with Dr. Paxton about what phase essential employees outside of those already vaccinated in phase 1A would fall. And that would cover our county employees as well. So you may see a little change in this slide in the future to reflect progress on vaccinating our employees as well. Next slide. The total number of COVID positive employees since the last time we reported to the board is 9, with 3 coming out of the emergency services department. Next slide. That brings our total number of COVID positive employees to 328 employees. Apologies for those who can't see that at the bottom of the screen. Next slide. Our reopening update has some good and new information about progress made toward reopening the tax offices that have been closed for several months. One has already been opened, and the other is slated to be open sometime by or before the 15th. And I'll ask Ellis Skirby, following these remarks, to give us an update on that. And I'll also ask him to address our preliminary thoughts around returning to in-person meetings in Assembly Hall as well. We will wrap up the final portion of our reopening update with a summary from the library director, Gail Holloman, around our thoughts on reopening libraries at a limited scope beginning sometime in May. Before I turn it over to Ellis, next slide, I would like to brief the board with some quick updates on the launch of our emergency rental assistance program. As you know, this program launched as targeted on March 1st, this past Monday. And by all accounts, it was an extremely successful launch. We had our call center up and running by noon, our application portal ready, concurrent with that call center launch. And we have seen, as we anticipated, a tremendous amount of interest in the program and a tremendous amount of applications submitted. The slide that is on the screen was current as of the end of the day for call center operations on Monday, which was the first day of the program. And we have significantly updated numbers since that time. We wanted to get this report to the board, and so we did not include Tuesday's numbers because this report was submitted on Monday. So just to give you a sense of where we have come since this report was submitted to you, on the first column, which represents our reporting of measures from the call center, we have a total of 1,496 calls taken as opposed to the 885, which you see there. In terms of those calls we had answered, of the 1,496, it was 852. And where you see abandoned, it is 644. I'd like to take a moment just to explain the term abandoned. We're thinking about rephrasing that because abandonment in terms of call center operations has a negative connotation and somewhat inspires management to act. But in this particular case, we're continuing to watch that number because it likely represents people who got their questions answered in a part of the script that is run before the call is ultimately answered. So it's counted within our abandoned number because we don't connect that call, but there's probably a good number of those calls where people are getting their questions answered just as a part of the script that is gone over. So again, we'll be watching that to make sure that there isn't a customer service issue there, but at this point, we do not suspect that there is. With respect to the call center as committed to the board, we plan to and do have a good referral process in place, in particular for those constituents in the city of Atlanta, because our jurisdiction somewhat overlaps, and there was about 40 on the first day. We got better at tracking that for the second day, and on March 2nd, we were up to 210 referrals from our call center to the appropriate jurisdiction for rental assistance. I'm also pleased to update the phone applications taken. As you know, we wanted to make sure that we had a robust call center in place for those individuals in our jurisdiction that did not have access to the internet or a computer. And so we are able to take applications over the phone for those who call the call center looking for that service. And that number is up to actually 512 when you include the data from the close of business yesterday. The middle column is a summary of applications taken that are landlord applications. As of Monday, it was 322, as you see on the screen, but updated from the close of business yesterday, we had a total of 733 landlord-initiated applications. There are 605 of those applications that are in progress. And then 128 that were deemed submitted, meaning that they appeared to include the information necessary to consider the application, but they have not yet been evaluated. On the tenant application side, we are now up to 8,374 tenant-based applications in our system. There are 5,122 of those applications that are in progress and another 3,252 submitted. Just as a point of information, it's not on this slide, but we got information anecdotally from our application management system, Neighborly, that indicated that at the end of, or sometime yesterday, we had over $16 million entered in requests for assistance into the system. So that somewhat gives you the scale of the activity that we are seeing so far. As a reminder, our total funding for the program is $18 million. Now, of the $16 million worth of applications we currently have, again, they have not yet been adjudicated, so we don't know the level of qualified applicants that we have, but we're certainly seeing a high degree of interest in this program. And again, to the manager's point in his opening remarks, we truly hope that there's additional funding that is going to be coming to our jurisdiction in this regard, because certainly the need is there. I think Dr. Rochelle is on the line with us, and I'd like for her to talk a little bit more about the adjudication process as well as the payment process, which we have decided to do as internally as opposed to identifying an external partner. Dr. Rochelle, if you were there, could you take that last piece?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Roach. So our adjudication process happens in the scope of our call center. It's staffed with 14 call agents that focus on phone application and assistance and information and referral. The other 12 are reviewers of the application. And we have over 100 in review for payment. However, there is a two-part process to the adjudication. One is, of course, the tenant submission of the application, but then there is a cross-reference with the landlord identified. To date, of all of the applications that we have moved on to the landlord phase, it's only the the beginning of the third day, and we have not received any of those applications back yet from the landlord. So we are still following up so that we can move those to payment. The same process is a two-part process for the landlord, and we have moved those applications to the tenant cross-reference and are awaiting the tenant reply so that we can move those applications to payment. The application adjudication process does have a rigorous compliance component as guided by Treasury. We are seeing a trend of 6 to 10 documents with multiple pages that each of the reviewer must review and determine that they are meeting the required standards. Some of the trends that we're seeing as it relates to the compliance review are unsigned leases, leases that do not match the name of the tenant. We have also seen expired leases and lack of appropriate information for the income verification. What we do with those applications is simply contact the tenant or the landlord and ask them to provide the information necessary. So the adjudication team is working very hard to get these applications processed as quickly as possible, but within the guidelines and standards of the Treasury rules. Ms. Roach, that concludes my update on adjudication. I did want to just touch also, though, on the payment process. We're very pleased with the progress we're making with providing that payment mechanism in-house. The team in finance and IT have been testing the system to ensure that all of the levers are in place to process those payments quickly, as well as purchasing is a part of that team.
Thank you, Dr. Rochelle. And commissioners, the one thing I'd also like to mention is that I'm very excited about the work that the Strategy and Performance Management Office is doing to support this program around the area of compliance reporting. We have a ton of data, which we are just getting because our program is newly launched, but it's very exciting data. As an example, yesterday I looked at the map, which was a heat map and then a dot map of where our applications are coming from. And I think that this board would be pleased to learn that the applications are coming from every corner of the county. And I think this is going to be a good opportunity once those applications are adjudicated for us to show that this program had countywide impact. At this time, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, although we don't have a question slide, I think it's appropriate to take questions on the emergency rental assistance because the other two sections are linked to reopening. So we'll go through those together.
All right, I agree with you. I think I saw Commissioner Abdul Rahman on the emergency rental assistance.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I think you all are doing a great job. So I want to say that I would like for us to kind of work in a little bit closer. And the only reason I said that is because I had no idea that you all were opening at 12 noon. I just made the assumption because I hadn't heard any difference that you all would open at the beginning of business. And so all of my staff was in that day, and I know that you all got quite a bit of information from my staff. So just in the future, let's make sure we're on the same page because I really don't want to tell the public that you all are open at 9 and you opened at noon. And so I just know it was a miscommunication, but I just wanted to say that I do appreciate what you all are doing. A question that I have, though, is for the applicants that are possibly, they're going to not be approved. Do we have a percentage or do we have a process that they are informed, you know, if they don't have all of the information or some of the information is missing? Could I get a little bit more communication on that end?
Sure, I'll ask Dr. Rochelle to do that. She's running the process, but we do follow up with applicants with incomplete information.
I missed some of what she said because unfortunately in the South Annex, we're having some glitch. So she froze up on half of it. And so Dr. Rochelle, if you don't mind, I just needed to know One, do we have an idea of what percentage I know it's early, of applicants that are possibly not being able to be helped, and also the applicants that are not being approved. How are they being given that information? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So the applications that we consider incomplete are those applicants that have some missing documentation, and we are not denying those applications. We're simply giving that applicant an opportunity to provide the requested information. We provide that notice in an email that states incomplete documentation, and we list every piece of documentation that was not complete, and we give them an opportunity to cure that, so to speak, and upload the required documents. So we don't deny them. We do work with them to provide the information that we need to move forward. And the same is for applications that are denied. At this point, the only applications we have denied are those that applied that are living in the city of Atlanta.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rochelle. One more question. Let me ask you this just for clarification for me. Is there a particular amount of time that we're giving them to get the documentation back to you? Because I know, just like Ms. Roach said, tentatively 16 million has already, tentatively is being looked at. But I would just like to know, do we have a holding pattern of a day, an hour, couple of hours? Do we have any specifics on how long we're giving them to get that correct documentation back to you?
We ask them to provide that in 3 days.
3 days. Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that we are consistent, because we are taking quite a bit of calls on this in my office, and I just want to make sure they're getting the correct information. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Chair Hall.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. My question is, do you have any statistical data that shows where the highest number of renters are located in Fulton County?
Commissioner Hall, thank you for the question. Right now, yes, we do have, or we can access information that tells us where the highest concentration of renters are in the county.
And where would that be?
We can do, was it College Park? Sandy Springs? Sorry, that was Sandy Springs, Commissioner.
Sandy Springs has the highest number of renters?
Yes, that's based on the community assessment that we did at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. And great job on handling the tracking and referring of City of Atlanta residents. I want to commend you on that. And this has been an outstanding program implementation process. I have been asked to speak on many radio stations over the past 2 weeks and attend many conferences and meetings to speak on your rental and utilities program, and it's getting really good reviews. So I just wanted to let you know, job well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Dr. Rochelle is, as we all know, a rock star and has done a tremendous job running every single component of this program to ground. I'm very proud.
Yes, Dr. Rochelle is a gem, and I already know how good her work is. Thank you, Dr. Rochelle, and to the team.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair.
Other questions, commissioners, comments? All right, Madam CEO, continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other two sections of this section of the report will be taken together, and then questions will follow. So I'll turn it over to Ellis Kirby. And Ellis, when you are done, I'll ask Gail Holloman to jump right in and complete her slides. Next slide, please.
Morning, everyone. Ellis Kirby. So this is the tax slide. We had a successful opening at 141 Prior. You can see the pictures on the right of both the employee side and the customer side of the shields that we put up. It's gone really well. We're looking at next at Greenbrier on Monday, March the 15th. We're working on shields, staffing, tax commissioners getting prepped for that Monday. And we're on target. So we're excited about Greenbrier. And also, we're looking to put similar shields in all the tax offices as noted in the last note. And one last note that's not on here, I was told this morning that the PO was released for the Qmatic system that will automate the texting and appointment feature that the tax commissioner is working on. Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll definitely either have it in or have a schedule of what we're working toward. And I'll work closely with the tax office and our IT department for that. Next slide. So the Assembly Hall is done, and it is beautiful, and we look forward to coming back to meetings. We are recommending some precautions, and we'll talk about the date last, but you can see the precautions, similar, pretty much the same precautions we took for the one meeting that we had before, limited attendance, mask required, 6-foot distance, and that would include the spreading out of the commissioners through the entire front row like we did last time and having some temporary shields in between. So we're shooting for the first meeting in May. That would be May the 5th. I guess some questions while we have completed the technical portions. We made some modifications and we're continuing to do mock trials and mock meetings and mock testing in there for everything that is working. One thing that we do need to do, which lies on the clerk's office, Tanya, and the IT department, is doing some one-on-one training with you commissioners with the new voting system, the new Granicus voting system, because right now they're using the new system to vote for you. So given approval to head toward that May 5th date, we'll definitely look to be scheduling some one-on-one training with your staff and to do some, actually would love to do some live training down there from a voting perspective, because the new system is a little bit different than the old system, and we just want to make sure you're comfortable. And again, that first meeting in May opening is contingent upon, the tracking criteria that Anna covers. So that's the summary of Assembly Hall. I'm going to turn it over to Gail Holloman for her slides.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gail Holloman, Director of the Library System. Just want to thank you very much for this opportunity to bring forward to you some recommendations that we have with regard to the reopening and the time frame for reopening of our libraries in a phased-in process. The recommendations start with DREAM, the library, police, and external affairs, working by setting up meetings to target a May 1st start of a limited phased reopening. And I'll speak a little bit more about why it's necessary for it to be phased. We want to be mindful always of the continued tracking of the county's gating criteria for reopening in case there could be any delays regarding it if the gating criteria is not met. Some of the things that are involved in this whole process, though, stems from the needs that we have for things such as enhanced cleaning and sanitizing at all locations, day porters that would have to be scheduled at all locations, security required during public service hours, and of course, enhanced PPE for patrons and staff. The other requirements will involve mask wearing, temperature checks at entry, and we would have the requirement of no leisure sitting or reading, no reshoving of materials by the public. The staff would handle that. And of course, no food and drink would be permitted. All of these things are very much affected by staffing levels currently. We have some attrition due to people retiring and other things, and we are working or will be working with HR regarding those vacancies and how we can affect changes with that and start the hiring process again. Also, we are affected by reassignments that have to do with other needs within the county, and the library is supporting those things. Next slide, please. We have a three-prong look right now, and that's the branches, Auburn Avenue Research Library on African American culture and history, and the Central Library. Starting with the branches, there will be 32 libraries that would be involved in this limited in-person offering of services on Tuesdays and Saturdays, Tuesdays 10 to 7, Saturdays 10 to 6. And we will continue our curbside services and our virtual processes and offerings for the rest of the weekdays. There will be limited browsing, limited time inside buildings, a limited number of persons on site per hour, and limited computer usage. Patrons will have, of course, the access to restrooms and water fountains, copying, and self-checkout. The Auburn Avenue Research Library will have those same hours on Tuesdays and Saturdays and will continue the phone reference and assistance. What will be new is that they will be able, during that new opening of service, will be able to offer in-person appointments for scholars and researchers, and that is a big component of the work that is offered and done at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. The Central Library is a bit different. We are finalizing those processes right now to get it open. We're looking at a late summer, early fall opening, and that curbside service does not work very well there. So we're looking at the offering of a mail and mobile delivery service, and that is being that is underway right now for discussion and for that whole process to be put together, with a reopening in late September or October. Next slide, please. We're also going to be very much in need of a communications tool and process, and that means that external affairs and our library public relations staff will be working very closely together to develop interior and exterior signage for all library branches that include everything from yard and lawn signs to chair markers, hours of operation lists, bookmarks, flyers, and posters, all of those things, as well as a major communications tool that would allow us to do outreach to the media, updates to our county and library website. There would be a social media plan that has to be put in place, newsletter articles, announcements in Fulton News. We want to produce a video to get this information where people can not only hear it or hear about it or read about it, they can see it by virtue of the video, and then FGTV coverage. That all will be very important to this process. Next slide, please. And just to bring you up to where we are at the moment, we're finalizing, as you know, phase 2 of the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program for the library, which means that we will very soon have all 34 libraries renovated, or in the case of the Hayville Library, a new build in this second phase. We are very excited about the fact that the Hayville Library will reopen on Monday, March 8th for curbside service. And we are now working, of course, as I mentioned a few times, the Central Library to get it so that it's that final piece, the sort of the cherry on top. And then we're looking at virtual celebrations for a total of about 13 libraries that have not had one of those. So we'll be talking more and more about that as we move forward, but we do hope that we will be able to have a big in-person celebration in the fall for Central. That's the end of my presentation. Yeah, are there any questions?
Questions, colleagues, commissioners? Commissioner Hall, Vice Chair Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gail, I just want to say congratulations on a job well done. You know, we met so long ago when Commissioner Garner was still with us, and I have just watched you and Al do such a great job with these projects, with the library projects, and I'm really pleased and honored to see them come to fruition. And I'm looking forward to, of course, seeing that new Central Library. I've heard great things. I've seen, you know, some great work along the way. And so I'm looking forward to actually reviewing that and having an outstanding ribbon cutting. So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair.
Commissioner Hausman.
Yes, and Ms. Holloman, thank you. Yesterday was awesome. I did get to see the new Central Library. I encourage all the commissioners to take the time to go out there. I believe you're now working there full time, correct, Ms. Holloman? Your office is? I'm
semi-full time there. I'm between because I've got to get all my items from 2 places to bring back, but that's happening and into next week, moving in.
Well, I just have to say that the renovations are beyond anything we could have hoped for. It's just outstanding. And so when that opens, I anticipate that just being a real destination point for the downtown area. So it's super exciting. Really glad to see we're talking about opening. You know, I've really been pushing that for a long time. I wish we were already opening, but at least we have a target date now. So that's fabulous. I'm curious, though, your initial plan for opening 2 days in person, how do you project, moving to expand that over time? Have you gotten to that phase of your planning?
Well, we want to see what happens with everything we have to put in place, because there's a lot that will need to take place. Our particular concerns center around security issues and center around more than that, and that's the PPE, being able to make sure we can clean and we can do those things that the patrons would expect and that we know that we need. And so we've got to make sure that we've got everything coordinated, and that's the reason why we need the time to do that. We'll be able to then assess just where we are and how quickly we can move to a broader opening. And that is, of course, our overall goal. We know what everyone wants, and we know that we want it as well. So I hear what you're basically saying, but it really is going to take quite a bit of doing.
Well, I know you want to open. There's no question that y'all want to be open just as much as the community wants you to be open. I'm just curious, are you thinking you'll go from 2 days to maybe 4 days and then to full capacity, or what's your thought process?
Well, I'm thinking that basically what you've just said may be the plan, but it could very well be that as our positivity levels decrease and other things take place that make it more viable, that it could go from the 2 days that we're talking about to just full blast. We just don't know at the moment. We've had some experience in the literature about library systems that have done that. And what has happened as sort of a cautionary tale is that they then had to go back and revert to curbside service. And we really don't want to do that. We want to not have to go to 2 days and then go open up in a few weeks or whatever, and then have to go back and shut down to curbside service. So that's why we want to have a phased in, look at it, a phased in a period of time. And as soon as we can assess where we are, we will do a broader picture for everybody. We will make that happen.
Well, the timing is great. School will be over, the end of May. So those libraries will be very much needed and welcomed by the parents and kids in the community. So I hope that it works out where you do get to do a soft opening and then a full blast opening really quick. So again, commissioners, please visit Central. You'll be blown away.
Thank you.
Good job to everybody that worked on that project and all the projects. They all turned out fabulous, but that one's just spectacular. Thank you.
Commissioner Abdul-Rahman.
Thank you, Chair Pitts. Dr. Holloman, I just want to take this time to openly thank you for being cautious. Like you, I have seen and tracked where other places have opened up a little bit too early, or they saw that they had to move to curbside or either shut down all the way. And so I have this apprehensive attitude in all that some of us are just kind of getting a little bit too lax, and we think the COVID won't hit us. And so that is the time that you will see the numbers increase, because people do not realize that it's not gone. And so I do thank you for being cautious, and I do appreciate it. Mr. Ellis, I apologize. I meant to ask you about the PO you said the PO for the system that we're trying to put in place has been issued. Do we have an idea or just a guesstimate when that system may be up and running for the number of, I think is it Qualtronics? I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly.
Yes, ma'am. Qmatic. No, that was just hot off the press this morning, Commissioner. Okay. What I'll do is I'll get with Rodney and the tax commissioner and get a timeline and get that out to one of us will get it out to the commissioners.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you also, Dr. Holloman.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner.
Anyone else? No. Anyone else? Thank you, Madam COO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The CFO is ready to provide her portion of the presentation on the Emergency Response Reserve.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Sharon Whitmore, Chief Financial Officer. Today we have a brief update on our Emergency Reserve Response Fund. As you will recall, we have set aside $45.7 million towards that effort. 19.6 of that is being provided for the health response. 26.1 is being provided towards operational stability. The changes that we made from a resource allocation and budget perspective since the last report is in the operational stability category. We moved about $200,000 from the funds that were carried forward from 2020 to professional services to provide for some ankle monitoring services so that we can ensure that we are able to release individuals out of the county jail as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we currently have $35.4 million of the $45.7 committed, 10.3 is unobligated, and we have expended $3 million year to date. Next slide, please. This slide provides you a look at the purchase order obligations that are in effect as of February 26th. The pink line at the top of the report is the total amount of purchase orders outstanding from the rollover in 2020. So that's 4.8 million. We've paid 2.3 million against that. If you scroll down through the list, you'll see in the middle of the page, we have our professional services total, 1.4 million. The largest piece of that is related to the services we are providing to EMA with the EMSI group. Additionally, what's new on this list from the previous report, in the testing category, we have acquired tents, paid the additional rental charges on tents for the testing sites and locations throughout the county. Next slide, please. These are some additional purchase orders. The entire vaccination section is new to the report. So since our last report, we have issued a number of purchase orders specifically to support each of the vaccination sites with personnel. And we are providing for lunches for the staff and volunteers that are located at each of those locations. And then in the warehouse category, we added a number of new items, mainly the items down at the bottom of the page with VDS. Those were materials, the nitrile gloves and some other PPE that are being held there at the warehouse location. So our grand total for purchase orders is 11.5, and of that we've paid about $3 million year to date. Next slide, please. On the rental assistance program update, we have not yet actually incurred any expenses in the form of payments. So we're still showing you the same $18 million and how it's allocated between rental assistance, utility assistance, and the 10% set aside for admin costs. Since we made the decision to bring the payment process in-house rather than utilize the outside third party, we will not be using the full admin cost allocation, and we'll be returning the unused portion into the rental assistance bucket, I believe is the plan. So as we actually begin to make payments, both for the assistance payments as well as make our actual payments out of the administrative cost bucket, then we will continue to update this schedule for you. Next slide, please. And the last slide that we have today is simply to give you a very brief update on the status of the legislation, the stimulus bill that's being considered by Congress. The House passed the bill on Saturday and has moved it over to the Senate, and we expect that approval to take place by the middle of the month. And based on the information that I've seen, it does not appear that there have been any changes to what has been proposed for support to state and local government. So if it holds through the Senate approval, then we should see a little over $2 million being made available for the county to use towards the continued pandemic response. And with that, I'll take any questions that the board may have on our emergency reserve fund.
Actually, it's 200 million, Madam CFO, not 2.
200.
Thank you.
You're not already reserved for that, are you, Sharon?
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
All right, commissioners, any questions for the CFO? Any questions for the CFO? All right, Madam County Attorney, strike that. CFO? No.
Oh, we're done.
God.
But, Mr. Chairman, that does conclude our presentation for the day.
All right, anything else, Madam CFO?
Anything else, Ann?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Manager, anything?
No, sir.
All right, what time is it? 1 o'clock?
10-2.
All right, it's about 10 until 1. I'll entertain a motion to recess for lunch and executive session, items to real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Move approval.
All right, I'll second. Let's vote, please. Houseman?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Harrington? Abdul Rockman?
Yes.
And I vote
And the motion passes unanimously.
okay. And what time is it?
Until 1.
So 1:15. All right, 1:15, we will begin executive session. Everyone has a number.
I just sent it.
Yes.
Anyone does not have the number. All right, 1:15, please call in. Thank you.
Extra.